Welcome to all. Last class, we saw the names up to the sloka 8, names of the Hatha Yogis who attained the Siddhi through the Hatha Yoga. So traditionally, these namas can be considered as a Guru Namavali for the Hatha Yoga practices. The 9th sloka is giving good information. So these Mahasiddhas, they are deathless and they created the light body roaming in the universe. These Siddhas, they won the death, right? In the sense, in the Siddha tradition, they are eternal and got the light body to help the humanity. And also, he says, Brahmande Visharakte. It means they are around this universe. So why they are around this universe? Actually, to help the practitioners. So in the traditional, you can get help from any of the above siddhas or all together. Like, the 35 Namavali, you can recite as a Guru Mandala Namavali before your practice to make sure so their energy is present in your practicing place. So that is one of the key things we have to understand before the Hatha Yoga practice. So we can recite any of these namas, or at least you worship the Gorakshanatha. So then they will be there with the energy to help and fine-tune our asana practices. So when you start to practice with this Guru Mandala Namavali, you will get more perfection. Actually, this Hatha Yoga is not only squeezing the body, right? It's actually the prana. So the prana flow in the left and right nostril, we are trying to control. So these gurus are in the universe with their higher level of prana, higher level of energy, and they will help. So it's like, we are creating their presence in our practice room or wherever you are practicing. So then your practice become more perfection and you will get more subtle guidance. Okay, so this you can get it from your own experience. 10th sloka, like a house protecting one from the heat of the sun. Hatha Yoga protect the practice from the burning the heat of the 3 tapas. And similarly, it is supporting a tortoise, as it were, for those who are constantly devoted to the practice of yoga. So this is the general translation. So he here talking about the 3 tapas. Generally, when the person doing a tapas in the sense, some intense focus to cultivate the energy of the mind, he will get the problem from the 3 aspects. It's called Tapatrayam. So that is Adhyatmika, Adibhautika and Adidevika. So sometimes he will get the problem from the inside of him. Sometimes he will get the problem from the heat of the sun and the wind and the environmental factors. And Adidevikam in the sense, there are some subtle forces, subtle pranic forces we can say that as Adidevika. So when the person sit and start to control the body and the mind and cultivate the mind and cultivate the prana, it's actually where he's channeling through, the focus through the one solumuna or the one focus. So then these 3 forces will automatically start to disturb, because we are in the court of the internally complex system and also the physical and also some subtle system. So these 3 forces will disturb our body and the pranic flow when any body start the practice. So that's why he gave the Guru Namavali first. He's saying the Gurus are deathless people and roaming in the universe to help the sadhaka. So it's saying that Hatha practice is, will remove the problems or the issues arising from this Tapatrayam. It's like generally we have a house to protection from the sun and the physical things. The tortoise also having the shell to protect himself, whenever want, it can absorb into the shell. So in the same way, Hatha Yoga practice is protecting our body and the mind and the prana from all these three forces. So whoever the yogi practicing the Hatha Yoga will be protected from the problems arising from Adhyatmikam and Adibhautikam and Adidevikam. Adhyatmikam can be divided into two types. One is Kayikam and the Manasikam. So Kayikam means the disease arising from the Raj Yoga practices in the physical body. So Manasikam is a emotional and mind-related disorders. These are from inside. So Adi Paudikam in the sense outside of the body. So anything related to the climate and the surrounding, the environment problems. Adi Devikam is the Graha and the deities and their demons or some bad forces, unknown running forces. Whatever the things, all these three, when person start to do the Hatha Yoga practice, he will get the immense strength of the body and the prana, pranic strength and the mental strength. So he will be protected from all these three tapas, that mean the obstacles. So the next sloka is giving a hint, how the knowledge should be practiced. The yogi desirous of success should keep the knowledge of Hatha Yoga secret, for it become potent by concealing and important by exposing. So then people think, it's something we should not share with others. So it's a forbidden knowledge, some sort of a thing will arise. But actually, why it was said as you were to keep your practice secret, it's related to the chitta vritti. So when the knowledge is clear in your chittam, your subconscious, there is no questions and no fluctuation in your chittam. So whatever you are receiving, it will go and push into your practice. But somehow, in our nature of our mind, always it's a wavering and it wants to show, I know this, because of the silly ego. So many people after the initiation, immediately they want to show off, we got this knowledge. So it's a temptation of the mind. So if you have that temptation, it will disturb your progress. The secret in the sense, it's actually after the initiation or after the knowledge is imparted, you should not be agitated. As the Agashtiya Maharishi also saying in the first of his Jnana songs, that we discussed earlier. Madikattu villade manamekam kaldirade. When you get the initiation or the knowledge imparted, you should not jump inside your mind and go to show off. So the perfection will be obtained through the long practice. So that is the nature of the yoga. So immediately nobody can't get the success. So your knowledge is given to your mental level, right? Then you have to keep silence and focus your practice rather than exposing. When you start to expose, you are losing your prana. So that's the key thing everybody have to understand. First the practice, then the mastery, then confirmation with the guru. Then if he approves, you can show off. That also, to help others. Showing the knowledge that you have is also to help others to obtain that knowledge. Not to make it as, our identity or, some higher thing we know. So not to be like that. So this sloka is very important if we want the success of any yoga practice, not only the Hatha Yoga, the Tantriko, the Raj Yoga, anything. So you have to do your practice in secretly, right? That is one aspect, your intent. The second thing, the lower mind always have the doubt. So when you say something to the others, they will put their thoughts. So they will say, no, I learn in this way. I learn in that way. So finally, your confidence will lose. So you can't practice the things properly. Always better to take the practice from the guru and do it for the prescribed period. Maybe guru will ask you to do 45 days or the 3 months or 6 months, whatever the time guru is prescribing. You have to do the practice and share the experience with the guru and correct. At one point of time when you master, so guru will say, okay, now you mastered, you can teach others. Otherwise, if you start to do by your own self, it will create a confusion. Like, you don't have the proper experience. Sometimes questions will put you into the confusion. That is one aspect. So before getting the self-experience, okay, you are not getting the self-experience, but you are telling, I am practicing. Then other person will ask the question, okay, what is that, what is this, and all. You will get confused. Okay? So then that will reduce your motivation toward the practice. So it's a very important to get some level of personal experience. You have to keep your practices secret. Okay, secret in the sense, not intentionally, having the attitude, no, I had. So naturally, you should not have any feeling to expose your practice. You should not have the chitta. So that's the idea or the meaning of the sloka level. There are some other rishis are giving some notes, like, the person's quality must be who have the control over the sense as much as possible, or who desire to control the sense. That's the person will get the quick progress in the yoga sadhana. The second, he must have the desire to learn the full knowledge, because it's not only for my health, okay, I need and all. I will solve my problems and I will move on the sadhana. So we don't have the obsession, too much of attachment and the negative emotions. So these people will get quick progress in the yoga sadhana. So the next sloka, actually, he is outlining preparation. So when you want to practice Hatha Yoga Sadhana, you must prepare yourself. He say a yogi should practice Hatha Yoga in the small room, the personal room, and situated in solitary place. Like, it should not get any disturbed. Measurements also he is giving being 4 cubic square and free from stones, fire, water, disturbance of all kind. So this is the basic requirement of the place. If you want to do a sadhana, the sadhana room should be, it's a personal, anyone should not enter into that, because it's a creation of energy. So you go into that room alone and invoke the guru and you practice. So this will give a quick progress. If you have the separate room for your practice, it's like a shrine room. So that is one. The second layer, he say, we have to live in the country where we don't have much agitations, where the proper administration is happening. If we have a lot of problem and the chaos, like a war or something, so your mind will get disturbed. Okay, so the properly administrated country, the place, and also where the good people live. Okay, your neighbor should also must be good neighbors. Otherwise, your mind will get the problem. And also the food, you should not spend a lot of time for this food. Your food need to be arranged properly and on time. Because the Hatha Yoga, we are going to put our body and mind into the order. So as much as possible, we have to reduce the chaos from the outside. These are the things will help you for the quick progress in the sadhana. So the next sloka is very straightforward. It's about, housekeeping, and the place should be, the clean room. That's the idea of the 13th sloka. So the sloka 14 talk about having seated in such room, the perfect room, and free from all anxieties. He should practice yoga as instructed by Guru. So the point here, when we sit for the sadhana, our chittam will start to do a chaos, like questioning, like so what is this, why and how, and all these things. So when you start the practice, you should not create a chaos in your chittam. Before the practice, you can ask all the questions to teacher and get the confidence. When you start the practice, you should not ask the question. So this is the way we confuse our sadhana. That's why he finally say, as instructed by his guru. So always before starting your practice, you can ask any question and get clarified and solve all your doubts. But when you start the practice, don't ask or confuse yourself. Sadhana is like we are entering into the expressway. So we are going to drive fast and there is no turns and all. It's like a very straight path. So in between, we can't do anything like that. Therefore, before the sadhana, you can ask question and clarify your doubt. But when you start the sadhana, you should not think any disturbing thoughts. So free from all anxieties in the sense, you have to solve all your questions before starting the sadhana. You have to be very confident and clear about your practice. What you are doing, why you are doing, how to do, and everything need to be clarified with the Guru. But when you start, don't disturb your chitta, because this is an energy cultivating process. So when you start to cultivate the energy, it needs to flow in a clear way. So in between, if you put the sudden break, there's a potential damage. So that's why this learning of the scripture also very important. For example, if you learn only the asana and pranayama and bandhas, you cultivate the prana, a lot of prana. But if you are not entering or penetrating into the sulumana or the higher practice, what will happen to that prana? So it becomes an agitation for you. So always understand the whole big picture and clarify all the elements of the sadhana. Maybe the picture is the 100-kilometer map. You have to start from the first mile, and one by one you have to progress. That is the message of the sloka 14. The next sloka, so it's talking about 6 causes. Those are destroying the sadhana. Number 1 is overeating. So how the overeating will destroy? It's actually taking a lot of prana. In our body, there are 2 organs, like the stomach and the brain, taking a lot of prana, a lot of energy. So if you put a lot of things into the stomach, you can't do the practice. So therefore, we have to eat whatever we need. It doesn't mean stopping or something. So the person have to consider the eating habit. Okay, eating all the time will cause the disturbance to our sadhana. The second, whatever the activities we are doing without schedule and, overdoing something and without objective. Initially, if the person wants to do a yoga sadhana, he must have the regular schedule. He must practice in a regular way. So the one day he practice only one time and the next day is another time. Person don't have the regular schedule and involving with so many things. It also can destroy the sadhana. And also a lot of speech, like again, it's a wastage of the prana. If person is a talkative, talking unnecessarily. Actually, the alignment of prana, the thought need to become as a word. So if person is talking without, connecting the prana and all, it will waste the prana. So too much of talk also push our prana to out and we will lose our prana. So then we become weak, unable to do a practice. Fourth one is the niyama. Some people have the attitude to follow some customs, like, they wake up in the morning and they will take a bath, then only they will do everything. So such people can't practice the Hatha Yoga because you can't put the cool water to your body when you start to practice the Hatha Yoga. So in the morning you have to wake up and, do your other duties, and without bathing, sometimes you have to practice for the pranayama and the asanas. So a person who is so much attached to the acharas, such people can't practice this Hatha Yoga. Because Hatha Yoga have different niyamas. So in the morning, you should not take a bath before the practice. You need to maintain the Agni properly. So that can disturb the religious activities. Okay, so if you are too much religious, so you have to do a puja and all. If you take a bath, then you can't practice the Hatha Yoga and the Asana Pranayama. Okay, so that also will disturb or stop the progress. The fifth one is company of the people. So if you are in the group of people who don't have any idea about the yoga and all, so they discourage all the time what you are doing and all. So that type of a company also will reduce your psychological strength. So that can harm your sadhana. So the last one is unsteadiness. The unsteadiness in the mind. We have a little panicness and all, confusions in the mind. So all these 6 are destroying your sadhana. When you start the sadhana, everyone have the good feeling for a few weeks. So then after a week or 10 days or 15 days, they will start to feel, now I am losing my experience. Now the practice something is, I am not getting good. So then you have to check all these things, whether you are overeating, whether you are over talking, some food habits, like, eating in the night, your food pattern is changed, right? Or otherwise you are dealing with the people who are not encouraging this. Maybe they are discouraging you, mentally. Even they don't show you or they don't tell you, but internally they may have the feeling, this guy is doing something weird. So then those thoughts can disturb us and slow down our practice. And also inside the mind, sometimes if we have some question, we practice, some problem comes, then immediately you have to solve with your guru. So otherwise it will create the unsteadiness in the mind. So these 6 are the kind of a checklist. When you feel your progress is stagnating, you have to check, okay, whether these are happening in your sadhana. Then you have to rearrange to bring the order back. 16th sloka will speed up the process or speed up the success. So first is utsaha, okay, the courage. So what it means by the utsaha in the sense, we are focusing. Sometimes the counter thought will arise. Okay, so why you want to do this? This is hard. Then you have to put a counter thought, no, I am going to do this because I know this will give this benefit. So that's the way we are giving the motivation to our mind. So I will definitely do. Whenever the negative thought arises, you are all coming through the utsaha or courage. Okay, so that personality you must have. The second quality is sahasa. They translate as a daring. What it means, whether I will get success or not, okay, I will put my effort, consistent. So the yogi must have that type of attitude. So I am putting my efforts on my practice, whether I will get result or not, I will do. Okay, that's the attitude called sahasa. So the third ability is perseverance. In Sanskrit, it's called dhairya. So dhairya is a thing, I will do this, do or die, I will do. So until the last minute, I will do this. I don't fear about anything. Whatever comes, I will do. That's called dhairya. Fourth one is the tattva jnana. Okay, tattva jnana in the sense, you are very clear about all your practices. So if you start to do asana, you know the sequence clearly, right? And which nadi we are manipulating, which body part, everything you are very clear before the practice. That's called tattva jnana. So if you have tattva jnana, you don't have any doubt. Right? So that's why learning the scriptures is very important to get the discriminative knowledge, tattva jnana. So tattva jnana will ensure your progress. Fifth one is the faith. Faith in the sense, until you get the self-experience, the faith is the only tool to travel. The faith on the words of the Guru. Okay, Guru asked to do this way, you have to practice. So practice as it is. Nothing to, make any new versions and all. Try to practice and get the self-knowledge and the self-experience and move on. Okay, so that's called faith. So the final one is Janasanga Parityagam. Okay, Janasanga Parityagam in the sense, as much as possible away from who is not practicing the yoga or who is not encouraging you. So it will hit your confidence. So always, if you want to practice yoga, you have to be aware about your surroundings. Okay, surrounding and whom you are dealing. So whether these people are subtly demotivating. So then you have to keep a wall. So that is finally called as a Janasanga.